Hello. I know I'm coming back like out of nowhere, out of the blue with this a new video, but just so you guys know, I've been busy with like college plus like on top of like a million different projects that I have to do. So YouTube isn't really my biggest concern, especially given that it's not exactly paying the bills. Nope, that's not an excuse. Not an excuse. I've had the idea of this video cooking like for the last few months like in my head. I'm not actually making a script for it and I haven't like really prepared for it, but it's just sort of an addressing statement, I guess, in terms of stuff I've said in past videos about using like different RPGs in Roblox's past as a comparison for RPGs that I'm reviewing at that time. And one of the most common ones I keep referencing over and over again, even like one of the fucking video titles I have, is Rogue Lineage. And I don't remember it quite well, but I'm pretty sure I had like comments like Spirit of Default, so like Rogue Lineage is like peak or whatever. I was like, fuck no. It is not good. I didn't like it. I have this really old video that I haven't unlisted for some reason yet on my YouTube channel that I'm looking at right now actually, and it's just me playing Rogue Lineage on like my old setup, and like I'm running at like 10,000 plus ping, so maybe I have some bias there, but my issues are completely separate to my quality of experience simply because I had a shitty internet at the time and a shitty like computer. Okay, well, what exactly are you, like, yapping about? What are you talking about? I wanted to kind of make a sort of video essay sort of thing, where it's like I can kind of break down the issues that Rogue Lineage has, and I can explain why it's kind of a bad game by design, and some of these things kind of did carry over to deepwoken, although I will give credit where credit's due, and deepwoken has fixed a lot of its issues from what I've seen, although I feel like to some extent it continues to plague the game. Although, you're just, like, not as much. I don't really have anything to say about that regarding. Maybe I'll make, like, a future deepwoken video, but at this point, I'm just really lazy, and despite my track record, I do not feel that strongly about Roblox RPGs, believe it or not. That's probably why I haven't been uploading as much, so I apologize for that, but I'll try to get better at that when I get more free time. Before I talk about a lot of the bad stuff, I want to highlight a lot of the stuff that Rogue did good and I think has kind of helped influence a new era of Roblox RPG development that a lot of developers still are not taking advantage of the sort of opportunities that Rogue has shown them to make a more fulfilling experience. Although I am definitely, from what I've seen, the little I've seen, definitely seeing some change on Roblox in this sort of genre. One of the main aspects that I'm talking about is the world building. Rogue Lineage has some of the best world building I've ever played, and like right now I'm even like playing like Skyrim, and it's like kind of boring as fuck, like just because I'm wandering around the grasslands like half of the time, but Rogue Lineage does a really good job with keeping you intrigued with the world, even if you've like died a million times like I have, and like you keep respawning in the same place and like the same areas. Like it always kind of feels like a little bit new or like interesting to wander around. It kind of does get a little bit walking simulator-ish depending on like where you're at exactly in the world, but for the most part it definitely feels like there's always a nook and cranny to kind of explore and revisit after a while, and there's always something like, I feel like, a fresh new area to kind of delve into again if you haven't picked up on it in a while. And I feel like a lot of Roblox developers aren't really taking advantage of this. Like, I mean, I think people have the idea that like bigger is better, and then you have people that are creating like Zelda Breath of the Wild. Like, I know Arcane Odyssey has like a massive, like big ass map, but personally, like I played Arcane Adventures and the islands were a lot closer in that one, and I personally like that better because like for me, like I'm not too interested in exploring anymore, just because like maybe I'm just like jaded and I don't really get into the nitty-gritty of games anymore, just because like I feel like old and like black pilled on games. But the point is, Rogue's map wasn't actually that big. Like it was a lot of like just walking around and like I guess running because it had a running feature, but it never felt like that much of a hassle to like get from point A to point B unless you were encountering like freshie killers or whatever. But for the most part, like if there was no one in the server, a lot of the map was like readily explorable, and it never felt like it was too small, and it never felt like it was like too big either. It didn't feel like empty spaces. So that's a massive plus there. They've really hit the world building hard on that one. However, with the good comes the bad. If there's no players in the server, I have found that like during the time when like that weird period, like maybe like a year ago or something, I noticed that like the Rogue player count was like dead because like deepwoken was like popping off and Rogue was receiving like no updates at the time. But the biggest issue that they have is that like there's kind of nothing to like fucking do if you're alone in the server. I get that it's like a mostly PvP game, But for like this adventure type exploration landscape, I'm expecting more than just walking around to collect like random shit on the ground to like sell later for I don't know, like armor and stuff. It's an interesting concept, but it's just really, it gets boring after a while. Like I did like the feature of like ingredients, like ingredient finding to like make like potions. And I think that's like a really cool way to like incentivize exploration, but it just like wasn't enough to kind of fuel the rest of the exploration elsewhere. Like for example with the streaker spawners, if you were dedicated, you could definitely find the amount of money that you could get from trinkets elsewhere rather than going into a dark hole and risking your entire save file for like 100 silver maybe. I forgot, is that the currency? I think so. I get that there were like quests or something like that, like a similar system in Rogue Lineage that wasn't like seldom talked about. I think it was like, important for like class progression, I think, but the game gives like literally no like obvious cue that quests are in the game or that you need to do any of this, and that's like another issue that Rogue Lineage has. It's just like there's not a lot of like obvious cues for key features in the game. And don't say like the shit in the description where it's like it's no hand holding or whatever, you're not like a baby, I'm not gonna like let you suck on my tit or whatever. No, that's not the same thing, because rather than just like not opting to give tutorial or explanation for these features, it feels rather like they were so lazy that they didn't even incorporate an explicit like sort of indicator that you were even following a quest or something. You could even, I believe I agreed to a quest at one point, like in the Emerald Isle, I think, and I mean, I agreed to it, but it didn't really give any visual indication or anything that I was still aligned to that quest. So then like when I like died, and I didn't like wipe, but I died, like I'm like, am I still on this quest or like no? And I was like really confused, and going all the way back to the NPC and confirming that is just like really weird and annoying for me. Like even like a quest indicator or something would have been nice. Deepwoken still doesn't have that, but I mean they made up for it in other stuff, I guess, like with stat like viewing and like attributes or whatever. But I would still like to see a system like that where it's like you can keep track of that. And that's not really like, I wouldn't consider that hand holding. Like even just keeping like a generic like title of like, oh, like this quest so and so, and like just like an indicator on the list or something that you still got it, and like with opening that up with like a keybind or something would have been like nice to have, rather than just being like, oh, like did you know quests are in the game? Like not all NPCs just like give you like a random like dialogue about like forbidden like edgy lore in the game. I guess you could say, yeah, it promotes like whatever more exploration in the game to like unearth all the secrets or whatever, but at the same time it's like I feel like it's just kind of lazy attempt when there's like better alternatives to doing that. For example, making the world fun to explore through other incentives such as like, you know, like finding rare chests in the world, or just like random enemy events with deepwoken. So like there's different alternatives. I guess like you could say it was a workshop like Rogue Lineage walk so deepwoken could run, but whatever, you can't win with these people, so I'm just gonna keep moving forward and keep, you know, criticizing stuff that they're probably going to say is like, oh, it's outdated now, so it doesn't really matter. But still, it's like people still put this game on the pedestal when like it's, like I've said before, it's just kind of like ass. Like I feel like it was more of a workshop game than it was like a game that they intended to like publish. Like I think it was just a sort of an experiment to like experiment with like cool like visuals and like world elements or whatever, and see if it would like work and be popular or not. And well, they got their answer, and I guess like pulled together the funds to actually like make deepwoken. So what, am I just creating like a conspiracy that like Rogue Lineage was just like an experimental like sort of project just to like to prelude for deepwoken? Yes I am. I'm a full-blown conspiracy theorist now. That's the theory. Believe what you will. I'm like the Alex Jones of Roblox. Speaking on funds, does anyone else find the business practices of Monad Studios to be a tad predatory? Like, I mean, with like I don't know how bad it is now, but like I mean with Rogue Lineage, with like the race re-rolls being like what, like I think they were like 200 Robux or something, and I think like something in the game is like 1,000 Robux, and like just like paid entries, like they the reason I know this is because I think one of the devs, like Archmage, kept bringing it up like on their Twitter when I like stalked them, like I think like a year ago, and it was like equivalent to like $5 or something. And I think like overall you can probably spend like well up to like $20 in Rogue Lineage. And I know like they're like, what's it called, like brain dead, like batshit insane people, like I see sometimes when I stalk or like lurk in the Rogue Lineage like forums or whatever, and like they're like saying that they keep re-rolling for like the $McChicken like ultimate race or whatever, and like for some reason they keep getting the same race over and over again, so like, they're like demanding a refund, but they've already spent like the $30 equivalent in Robux to like keep getting that race. So it's like some people are really, I feel like it's kind of like the gacha addiction type thing that like it manifests, because like people just want to like keep re-rolling, I guess. Like I'm not sure exactly, but like me personally, it's just like I don't think any Roblox game is worth like $5 paid entry. I'm kind of eating shit when I say this because I think I paid like the $5 to buy deepwoken when it first released, but at the same time it's like I played it and I'm like, was it worth 400 Robux? Not really, but like I mean I didn't really give a fuck at the time to kind of like do anything, or like I don't even think you can do anything. Roblox doesn't have like any sort of like refund practice. It's just like, oh, like your kid like used your credit card to buy Robux, so like eat shit. Like, so that's an entirely different issue anyways. Since I talked about it, the race thing is kind of like ass too. I know that there's like the reason I know them is because I know I kept getting ganked by them like as a freshie whenever I played. It was like a Sheen race, and it's just like I think the disparities between the races in Rogue Lineage is a lot worse than it was in deepwoken, so I'm glad to see they've amended this in their new projects. Like, it's not like, you know, like having someone else be like the beetle race or whatever is like a death sentence, although everyone is getting that race, I think, just because it looks like cooler than the other ones. I don't blame them, because like I've seen that cat race and it makes me like, it's still like they've invented racism in deepwoken, like specifically against people that have that race. So looking back, I think that's exactly what like made deepwoken's business practices so predatory, because like I think I spawned with like, I looked it up on the fandom Wikipedia what I got, and it was like the Mandarin Madration like race, and like all we do is like shapeshift. God, I'm referring to them as we now. I'm like part of them officially, but like they really didn't serve any purpose besides that. And like meanwhile there were like races out here that had like melee like physical like improvement buffs where like literally like one punch did like half of like a fresh spawn's health, and then like another one had like cool like abilities straight from the get-go, like spawning in. I think it was like the mushroom race. So it just created like this unfair sort of environment where it's like you started the game, you bought $5, and now you were gonna have to buy like another race reroll, which was like another 200 Robux, or just like half of that, I think like $2 or something cents. But like you would have to buy that just so you wouldn't be like on the bottom scale immediately starting off in the game, which I think is just like completely unfair. Which is really bad considering this game is permadeath and it's like PvP oriented, so you always want to be like with the best, like most broken stats. So I think like people are going for like the assassin, or like the, I forgot what it is, but like the last thing I knew of the game, it was like the meta was like some like assassin race or something, or class or whatever. Now I get to talk a little bit about the permadeath. Now, it might have been just me, but when I started playing the game, and I was constantly getting wiped by these like high-level players without even like starting like 20 minutes, I guarantee get wiped. Something told me that maybe this isn't how the game was intended to be played, and I think that's just like an inherent flaw of the system they have right now. To get an understanding of what I mean, Rogue Lineage is a roguelike platformer when there's a difference between roguelites and roguelikes, which is kind of confusing, and it's confused me for the longest time, but I did some research before this by watching like a video, like 10 minutes of like a YouTube video that I'll probably link in the description, where a roguelite is permadeath, but it allows features that allow you to carry on some power to the next save and sort of, you know, increase that way, versus a roguelike, which is where you start off and every single time you die you just restart straight from the beginning. Rogue Lineage is a lot in the sense of a roguelike, because I don't know if it's either like you have to like get some like crazy strategy or like some crazy secret system to like move some stuff from like the next save to the moving onward. But in Rogue Lineage, when you die and you're wiped, that's it, you're wiped. You're restarting completely anew. So the people that stay alive longer have the most advantage in the game, which is really bad when you come to a PvP oriented game where like there's literally nothing to do besides like kill other people, and then you just have a lot of, you know, people that end up becoming like sadistic killers and like massacring like fresh spawns and basically ruining any chance for any new like player base to form. It's because of that design that a lot of people consider Rogue Lineage to have one of the worst fan bases like in the history of Roblox kind. Like a lot of people just say that like the people are either dicks, exploiters, like asses. Hopefully that'll get fixed now, because like Roblox teamed up with Synapse and like Bifron or whatever to like fix all their sins and like become born anew. But you know, still like the point still stands that even today, like you can't really hop on Rogue like completely starting anew without like, you know, encountering some trouble. Which kind of sucks, because like, I mean, I've seen recordings of like Wave 1 or whatever like in the past where it's like the player base was like really teaming up to like explore all these new places, and like even with this clip where like one of the devs was playing with like a bunch of players to get into the tundra for the first time, it's like, damn, that looks fun, I would have liked to be there. The signs of how RPG fandoms turn toxic though is like a completely different subject that I probably should make a video on in the future, but you guys already know I'm too lazy for that. I think what I want to end off with is that Rogue Lineage by design like appears to me at least to be built to be for a good time, not a long time, because it looks like it was really good and popular and like fun even in its heyday, but today it's just like something only the most dedicated schizos will put time into now. So it's just sad to see the state of it today. Although it seems to be getting updates and stuff, so maybe they'll improve stuff in the future, but right now it's just like, I'm just gonna like flash some stuff on the screen right now to like see if I missed anything that I remember. I think one of the things was like, I think the second world or whatever is like unfinished or something like that. But yeah, that's why people shouldn't put Rogue Lineage on a pedestal and why it's probably one of the most outdated RPGs today. I mean, it still holds up, I guess, but just like only to a very specific niche of people. So yeah, that's about it. I'll probably see you guys in another 5 years. I think my next video is gonna be like a devlog or something, because I'm currently working on like the RPG project in my spare time to prove that maybe I know what to do for RPGs, or maybe I don't. We'll put it to the test. But yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Spirit of Default, and have a good evening, good morning, whatever.